The Book of St Albans is the common title of a 1486 book, a compilation of matters relating to the interests of the time of a gentleman. It was the last of 8 books printed by the St Albans Press in England. It is also known by titles that are more accurate, such as the Book of Hawking, Hunting, and Blasing of Arms. The printer is sometimes called the Schoolmaster Printer. This edition credits the book, or at least the part on hunting, to Juliana Berners, as there is an attribution at the end of the 1486 edition reading explicit Dame Juliana's Barnes in her Book of Hunting. It contains 3 essays on hawking, hunting, and heraldry. It became popular and went through many editions, quickly acquiring an additional essay on angling. The section on heraldry contains many coats of arms printed in 6 colors, the first color printing in England. During the 16th century the work was very popular, and was many times reprinted. It was edited by Gervase Markham in 1595 as the Gentleman's Academic. Scholarship on the sources of the book indicates that little in it was original. It is expressly stated at the end of the Blasing of Arms that the section was translated and compiled, and it is likely that the other treatises are translations, probably from the French. An older form of the treatise on fishing was edited in 1883 by Mr. T. Satchell from a manuscript in possession of Alfred Denison. This treatise probably dates from about 1450, and formed the foundation of that section in the Book of 1496. Only 3 perfect copies of the first edition are known to exist. A facsimile, entitled The Book of St Albans, with an introduction by William Blades, appeared in 1881. Juliana Berners. Juliana Berners is only documented from the mention in the 1486 edition. She is said to have been the Benedictine prioress of the Priory of St. Mary of Sopwell, near St Albans in Hertfordshire. Her name was changed by Winkender to Dame Juliana's Burns in his edition. There is no such person to be found in the pedigree of the Berners family, but there is a gap in the records of the Priory of Sopwell between 1430 and 1480. De Word's edition, also without a title page, begins, "This present book show with the manner of hawkinge and huntinge, and also of dioisinge of coat armies. It show with also a good material belonging to horses, with other commendable treatises, and furthermore of the Blasing of Arms, as hereafter it may appear." This edition was adorned by 3 woodcuts, and included a treatise of fishing with an angle, not contained in the St Albans edition. Joseph Hazelwood, who published a facsimile of Winkender's edition with a biographical and bibliographical notice, examined with the greatest care Berners' claims to authorship. He assigned to her little else in the book except part of the treatise on hawking and the section on hunting. Hawking. The Hawking treatise is considered to be adapted from the Book of Hawking after Prince Edward, a King of England, a manuscript of the reign of Edward IV of England. The work is not intended as a full practical treatise, but to introduce the technical language, and to describe feeding and illnesses, for an owner who needs to take an interest. The work provides this hierarchy of raptors and the social ranks for which each bird was supposedly appropriate. Hunting. The essay on hunting, in particular, is attributed to Dame Juliana Berners, who was believed to have been the prioress of Sopwell Priory near St Albans. It is in fact a metrical form of much older matter, going back to the reign of Edward II of England, and written in French. The L'Art de Venerie of the huntsman Guillaume Twitchy. The book contains, appended, a large list of special collective nouns for animals, company terms, such as gaggle of geese, and the like, as in the article list of collective nouns. Amongst these are numerous humorous collective nouns for different professions, such as a diligence of messengers, a melody of harpers, a blast of hunters, a subtlety of sergeants, a gaggle of women, and a superfluity of nuns. The tradition of a large number of such collective nouns which has survived into modern Standard English ultimately goes back to this book, via the popular 1595 edition by Gervase Markham in his The Gentleman's Academic Angling. A work added to the 1496 edition of the book was the Treatise of Fishing with an Angle on Angling. It is an earlier collection of practical advice for fishing, and was drawn on by Isaac Walton. Among recognized sources for Walton's complete angler are works of William Grindal and Leonard Maskell, both of which are close derivatives of the treatise. Heraldry. The virtues of the gentleman, according to the book, were skewed towards those useful in military terms. It contained a section on the law of heraldic arms, the Liber Armorum, reporting on the contemporary discussion on the relationship between gentility and the heraldic practice of gatekeeping, the grant of coats of arms. The book took the line that the law of arms was part of the law of nature. James Dalloway reprinted this Book of Arms in his 1793 Inquiries into the Origin and Progress of Heraldry in England. The book proposed that there could be several kinds of gentlemen. Those of blood differed from those granted coat armor. J.P. Cooper wrote, the book's classification of gentry was to be repeated by heraldic writers for 2 centuries and was systematized by Fern and Lee under Elizabeth. He takes as sources for the assertions in the book the works of Nicholas Upton called De Studio Militari, and the unpublished manuscript of Readings in Heraldry around 1450, known as Richard Strangwaite's book. There are idiosyncratic ideas on the curse of Ham underpinning the theory, with Europeans being Hamitic. Cooper believes the source may be the Testament of Love of Thomas Usk. Jacob's suggestion of another source for the work, a book of the lineage of coat armor, does not come with direct indications of the affiliation. Derivative works. Gervase Markham edited the book as The Gentleman's Academy, or the Book of St Albans, London. This was then reprinted in 1614 as a jewel for gentry. According to Joseph Hazelwood, this 1614 reprint was the last in the series going back to the 1486 original. Online versions. A copy of an 1881 edition. Archive.org.